The first item, 7 Nottingham. So this is going back to the very early days of planning board, flexible and site plan, and what happened. And actually, I have Rob from Lynch Landscaping, who was doing the work here, to also talk about it. Is within this area, this was a no disturb that was disturbed. The trees weren't cut down or anything, but there was basically some shrubs and ground cover that was in this area that they were removing and then planting back with material. And Kim, David, and I had gone out to observe the changes to the property. This area was a small depression that was originally called out to be preserved. They originally had this changed, and then since my informing them of the board's decision, they put it back to the original condition. And this area, which it was already disturbed, they are proposing just to plant this area back with rhododendrons and mountain laurel.
It changes character on that street, though. The character changes a lot when you get to this lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it does.
Yeah.
The question is this going to, the whole objective of Nottingham was to keep it as sort of rural as possible. And this changes that whole, because there's it's a nice stone wall here, which grew there, and now it's going to look manicured as opposed to the lots down, further down, closer to the street, which still sort of look as though they're not as manicured, let's put it that way.
Well, I would say to that the wall is in keeping. There are a few other stone walls on the road with the same look, and obviously initially it's going to look like new plantings, but it is my client's objective is to let it be more of a natural look rather than something that's formally pruned or maintained.
There's a stone wall at this driveway entrance, and then this house on here on the right as you're coming up to this property, they have one that is also.
And I drove it.
Yeah.
I took a look at it. It branches off of Concord.
Right by the Lincoln Town line.
Yeah, pretty close.
It's a great big roadway.
Yeah.
Last great
yeah,
big
it was
roadway.
before there was a
Before
flex.
they put flex.
Right before flex. But one of the questions I had is, where is the document that distinguishes between the conservation restriction held by Forest and Trail and the pieces that aren't in the conservation restriction?
So the conservation restriction is down here, specifically on lot 5.
All right, and how do we know that?
By looking at the special permit that was issued back in '97, and then also the conservation restriction that's on file with the conservation administrator. So because this was actually a joint issue where she first had noticed this because there was a fence that had been installed on the town side. So when she informed me of the other changes, we both went through. Lot 5 is where the conservation restriction is. It's not on the adjacent lot. So, I had verified that with her.
Yeah. Okay. So this is not in the conservation. It was a no disturb.
Right. So here were the 2 no disturbs, and the only thing that was really calling those out was the special permit decision from '97.
Yeah.
I could not. This looks like this may have been like the first lot in here that received a building permit. There were site plan decisions for this lot and this lot, lot 3 and lot 5. I could not find one for lot 1, and on this lot, there was nothing. I only had basically a correspondence from Susan to the building inspector saying that the board had approved the site plan. And this is the plan that was in the file that was referenced.
When it goes to tower, it becomes a little bigger. So it had a very big.
So this is.
Yeah, so it had significant planting.
Yep. It's all been cleared.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think
come see. sort of with the, I'm just trying to figure this out, you know, because obviously this is the orientation, this is this one big gable there, there's this little turret here, and this was the previous
Yep.
look of Nottingham Lane, so it was really quite dense.
Right.
And now there's no dense.
Totally different look.
It's like totally different.
Well, I will say that when we came into the project, that the state that we got it in, there were no trees taken.
Really?
Yeah.
It had already been cleared?
Yeah, we didn't,
Really?
I mean, I had no part of any clearing. We came in and,
Well, I think we're going to want to walk this.
Yeah. Did you guys see it yourself? I mean, you just.
So, I mean, there are existing trees that are here
Yeah.
from the canopy. Yeah.
This is the
But, you know, it
orientation.
really opens up, it's boom at the end of the
Yeah.
street.
It's all gone.
And it's going to be a real temptation to, you know, spread that, so.
One of
Watch this.
the challenges was that there was no, you had the special permit decision, and then that was it. This is the plan that was in the file. There was no specific landscaping that was called out for, except for these do not disturb, and this, which then said it was a grass depression, and there were blueberry, in the decision it called for, like wild blueberry bushes. Yeah, that ended up being the scope of this property.
But right at that corner, there was a no disturb zone, and the reason for it was so you didn't get that.
Yeah, no, that, exactly.
So we need to put that back. And so we need a planning plan, we need to walk out there and see it.
I had asked for documentation, that's, I thought I just handed that out to the.
Find out number 11 since we know when it's recent.
Yep.
Because it's only the two houses up there anyway. Yeah, we got a lot pickier as time went on.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean,
It's
that's.
pretty open, isn't it?
Yeah, there was no inventory as far as existing trees that I could go by,
That's right.
no landscape plan. So our time was basically just to take these no disturb areas and make sure that things are returned to a natural state.
So somebody could do a scale, all of this stuff is going in here.
Right. Yeah, we just need it interpreted
I just,
onto
I
a.
want to see
Yeah, I mean,
what
that's-
that looks like too.
Yeah, he had made notes, I mean, basically like this was the stone wall, here was the plantings. I asked for more detail and, so we put it in memo form as far as what they're
Yeah,
calling
the
for.
memo form is one thing, but actually
Yeah.
seeing it on the plan is another, and then I want us to get a look at that. Because that's a different, I understand what you're saying about stone walls, but there's stone walls and then there's stone walls. And if this one is similar to ones that are in the area, fine, we just need to take a look and see.
No, I understand it, and, certainly we tried to keep them, like I said, keep the neighborhood feel going.
Yeah.
And I think you'll find that the stone is a natural New England field stone. It still has a lot of the moss and the dirt from being originally picked from a field. So it's not one of these new granite looking
Is
walls.
it retaining?
Yes.
So how did that happen? Did it get regraded?
Well, if you look at this specific area, here, it just pitched down. So on this, it pitched down here, and then when you got closer to the driveway, which I don't have a picture with me, as you get closer down here, it pitched quite a bit, but the client wanted a flatter
Flat
area.
lawn.
Yeah.
So now we get a retaining wall at
Mm.
the turnaround, as opposed to a lawn that goes down to the.
Well, it really wasn't lawn. This was all like
that
ledge
wasn't-
croppings, and here was actually a series of bushes which we took and just relocated onto the property. Nothing was, other than a couple perennials, nothing else
Took
was.
bushes out of the right of way and put them onto your property.
Actually, no, they're down in this point, which is still technically the right of way, right in here somewhere. This is no disturbance. Well, here's the problem with the plan, as far as we can tell, is the plan actually, there's no as-built on the house. The house as it shows on the plan isn't actually accurate. it actually sits differently. So we had to take our own measurements, and everything that Joe was able to provide us, didn't give us any firm takeoff.
Looks like the right-of-way line right there.
Oh, I understand that's how you would see, but you still don't. We don't have any benchmark to go off of anywhere other than the property. We were able to find this one spot, and we were able to take all our measurements. But even the house is not physically like this, and it actually looks at like it actually sits more like this. So everything's a little askew, and so we had to utilize our best judgment. And then once we were made aware of some violations, this area here, which was, we had filled it in, not knowing that there was a restriction. We removed that fill, and actually when we brought it down to the appropriate grade, we were hitting virgin soil, and was never done that way, nor were the blueberry plants ever put in, which are now in.
The blue line is the stone wall?
Yeah.
That's in the right-of-way?
Yes. As is the neighbors down here as well.
Well, we can take a look at that. I mean, for one thing, I don't see how we can sign off on something that's not on the property.
Well,
I would just like it, I'd love to see a planting plan that I can it's hard for me to figure out where everything's going to go back and forth. So.
I mean, you're really talking about an area of, it's not this whole area was not disturbed. Approximately 240 square feet of this area was what was disturbed, and that needed to be replanted. So,
did you guys go out? Did you go out? What do you think? Excuse me for interrupting that.
I mean, you can definitely tell that the front has been disturbed and there's newer plant material in there, but I think we should go see it together because they're putting a tremendous amount of plantings on this property. And
But they're building in the right-of-way.
Yeah, that was already in there.
Gee, how's it fit? I mean, that's just as an appropriation. You know what I'm saying?
Did he do the wall or was that in?
I'm sorry, the wall that's going in?
The little retaining wall?
No, that was something that he had.
He put that.
Yeah.
Okay.
He is
But I don't
referring
think-
to.
The new owner.
Our client doesn't speak any English, so the ability to communicate this to him has been somewhat challenging.
Sure.
And our point is nothing we could find in any of the paperwork that we were given to us really correctly marked off where the right-of-ways are or what the provisions are. Sorry?
Not even in the GIS?
There was nothing that we've been able to locate, and the neighbor to the left of the house actually is very pleased with what has been going on because he sees it as an increase in his value.
This is a certified survey.
It may be, but even when the building inspector was out, we could not find anything that would point us in the correct direction because the house is definitely not sitting in the manner it is.
Forget the house. It's this right here. I mean, surely a surveyor could find the benchmarks for this turnaround at the end of this road.
Perhaps. I think the issue is that if you have a 50-foot right-of-way for the road, where exactly is the road currently?
It doesn't matter.
Well,
What matters is the right-of-way.
Well, it matters in terms of where the 50-foot starts.
No.
In other
It's
words,
a survey that shows the right-of-way.
right, but I'm saying we don't have that. We don't have a survey, and we don't have any points to
Right
go
here.
up.
This is a certified survey plan of this area.
Well, no one that has been from the town who's visited us has been able to help us locate this.
It's not their job
So-
to help you locate it, it's your job.
Okay. Well, I can have my client.
You need to get a surveyor and find out where it is. I mean, you can't just build in the right-of-way. I mean, it essentially is a matter, it's almost adverse possession.
From 1996?
Yeah. still a survey.
Back in the Stone Age, this is carved in
No
stone.
subdivision plan.
We were on this,
The subdivision plan is nothing that, I mean, it's for the whole thing. And this at least was the only thing in the file for this
For that
property
line.
that addressed this in any great
And the
detail.
subdivision plan is just like empty lines, right?
Yeah.
It's just very,
It's just the lot.
It's a subdivision
Yeah.
plan, but you can find the bounds, I mean.
right, so that's what he's getting, so just a little, talking about the same thing, but going about a different way. So, these guys are landscapers, they generally are pretty good at locating stuff off the physical environment. There's no plan that shows the physical environment. So for them to locate the right of way, the owner needs to hire a surveyor and get the subdivision plan, because it's I don't want to say imaginary, but it's a line that's not evident that needs to kind of be shown, so we kind of know where we're at.
That's right.
So, you're right, there's nothing, typically you could, if you had, if you had one of our plans now, you could pull off,
right.
any sort of physical thing, you have an idea down to like within a couple inches of where that line is. So, I think that's what you got to convey to the owner, is that board's going to want to know where his property ends. And
You have to understand, we can't approve a property owner is constructing something in a public right of way. We can't do it.
And this is, because I don't know. This is a private road, right? So I was under the understanding that it would fall within,
It's still a right of way.
okay.
It's still a commonly held right of way. It's not on, your client doesn't own it.
No, and again, I'm just asking. So they maintain the road, the neighborhood does, correct? I mean, typically on a private road?
Do they? Is that DPW? Is that DPW?
I don't know who
No.
plows this, I don't know who
Who plows this?
maintains it.
Does
This
Lynch
is-
Lansing
this is-
plow?
No.
Who plows it?
The homeowners association would hire
They
someone.
have a homeowner association?
I would expect so. This
So
is
this
too
is
narrow
kind
to
of,
be
this
a
is
town.
kind of
Doesn't
like,
matter.
right, but this is like the lands
Doesn't
trust, the
matter.
roads trust in Meadowbrook or something like that? No, it's just.
Probably just these residents.
Yeah.
But it's a jointly held
Right.
parcel.
Yeah.
And we can't authorize one of the owners to just appropriate part of what is not on his property. I mean, it may be great, but we can't say that's fine. That's the problem.
Okay.
Is there any point in our going to see this until?
Surveys done?
Certain, yeah. Because it would be good to know where
Yeah, it'd be
the
good to
road
know where it is.
before we go there.
Are you going to be able to communicate with your client? He needs a surveyor. I'm sure you guys have surveyors, right, available. that
Well,
you work with.
yeah, I mean, we can get one, and the client will want to do it. I mean, if you visit the site, the client has invested a lot of money, and he is very concerned because, we're running into the winter, and we want to be able to finish some of the.
What do you want us to do?
Planning.
We can't authorize the work on some.
Well, yeah, and I understand that,
So
but-
it's not, this guy doesn't own.
Understood, but if
So we need to find out where the limit of his property is. And then we can see where that leaves us. Until we know, it looks like you're right, he's right out in the middle of the turnaround. And we're not gonna be able to sign off on that. And he can be upset, but that's not
Yeah,
our problem.
I just want to bring the proper message back. That's all. I mean, I'm not trying to question any more than to understand the whole thing.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
can convey it.
we're not creating the problem. The problem is we can't authorize it if he's on somebody else's property.
Would it
So-
also be reasonable for them to, at this stage, get a landscape architect in who could sort of superimpose on the newly surveyed property where these things are going, so they'll be easy for us to read? Would that be, that's how we usually do things, is it not?
Can you draw the circles on?
Right, can you draw the circles on
Yeah.
and call them out and act like a landscape architect?
I'm done.
Okay.
So okay, let's assume, and this is going to Joe, so we might not have the answer to this stuff, and we might have to figure it out. Metro West goes out, stakes the right of way, well, they add it, they should stake the disturb areas because they're right off.
Right.
it. That was just an idea. You
And
know,
it'll give you an idea where you're going to be.
focus on what we're
They
doing.
should know where the meets and bounds are.
Yeah, they should be able to do it, but
Yeah.
it's nothing that someone can do without recreating the map.
Yeah.
So, walls in the right of way on a private road, where's that gonna lead us, you know? How do
We're gonna
we,
have to make them take it out.
or subdivision, or change the subdivision?
Well, maybe. I don't know, the other owners would have to agree to that.
That's all how it would be written, I guess, is kind of what I'm getting at.
But how could it be all right for one or two neighbors to have it within that? but
Well,
not everyone?
you know, again, it depends on the shift, because I'm looking at GIS and the northern number 2, which is to the right. The roadway comes very close to the edge of the right-of-way, and their stone wall that's shown here is shown outside of the right-of-way, like just touching the right-of-way. And it looks like it's probably 5 feet off the edge of pavement, but because you have the right-of-way and this road sort of skirts that top edge, it looks like it's just a couple feet off the edge of pavement, but technically the right-of-way is like just a foot off the edge of pavement. So it's not centered in the right-of-way.
Just so you know, I was working in town back at this point. I have zero recollection of this.
Oh, I remember it.
I have absolutely none whatsoever. I think the first time I went up here was when,
This was when Roger Lee was still the chairman.
yeah, I was working.
Yeah, no, you were just a kid.
Yeah.
You didn't have any
You were
gray
a
hair
young
at all.
pup. 20
So I have absolutely zero recollection of this. I can't bring anything to the table as far as like what the intent was or anything. I mean,
Well, we know what the
I remember it was back when Stegosaurus was still roaming around. And
what I kind of figured is that there was a standard subdivision, and then the flex cut passed or something, and everyone
After
said,
this-
let's do that instead
In
here.
response to this, right, it was a response to
Was
putting
it?
this 2-lane highway down in the middle where it could have been a nice.
it wasn't a flex though. It
Well,
was.
it
wasn't,
It was
yeah,
still.
it
It
was-
was.
yeah.
It was a straight up subdivision, but it had pieces attached to it, like the
Okay.
no disturb zone. So that was a new concept. But the intent was to keep it as natural as possible, not to fussy it up, not to you know. That was the hope.
Yeah, because if the flex had been in, we wouldn't have that 2-lane highway for a road, Nottingham.
Well, I mean,
That
this-
was in direct response.
This is it's a special permit under the flex.
Yeah. but-
It was an agreement.
But they had embraced
Yeah.
the planning.
Is the road
like, you know what I mean?
that
You see Nottingham?
Yeah, I went up there. I don't remember it being so
It's,
long.
it was, I remember when it was built, so it's like, around the
The
corner.
right of way's wide.
Pretty
The road-
amazing.
the road's not that wide.
Yeah, that's what I
But it's
thought.
just
The
like,
road
it's
is
just,
that wide.
it's this big thing, you know, in what could have been a little country lane anyway, but because of our.
So I guess let's go and see where we stand,
Yeah.
and we figure it out from there.
If Rob could stake it out, then we'd know where we are. You know, at least the no disturb zone and the turnaround. I mean,
No disturb turnaround and be able to place the plantings. So
yeah.
Well,
Trying
what
to see.
if they stick up a no disturb, and not that big, we can have a
Right.
plan. I mean, it's,
Right. I mean, it's
I don't
pretty
think 3
obvious
people
as
should
it
see
is
into
now.
this one.
No, it's pretty small. It's really what to do about the stone wall right in the right of way. That to me. Our hands are tied, honestly.
Let's see where we stand and see what it looks
Yeah.
like.
If it's close, maybe, no.
I'm guessing it's not going to be close. I'm guessing that it's like
I
10.
think that's actually optimistic.
This here is 29 feet, and you're talking about 10 feet.
What's 29?
If this right-of-way is accurate from the corner of this house, you're just scaling it.
Yeah,
I'm not,
again, but it's not.
Just where this is being drawn, just for a scale, if that's 29 feet, that's easily going to be 10.
What's the scale of the drawing?
Probably 20.
Should be 1 to 20. Yep.
So just the right of way is much wider than the actual pavement.
Right.
Is
Yes,
that-
it is.
So it was almost like an early flex concept. Is that
Well,
right?
the right-of-way is always wider than the pavement. It's just that instead of, say, having a 40 or 50-foot right-of-way, we could have it down at 20 and the pavement down at 16.
So this was so long ago, like in this, so we,
It's like
subdivision regs 50.
13 feet.
50, okay.
So like the first
Yeah, it's
flash
not-
was
it's
minor
not like
was
it's
one,
just
they said,
over
okay,
the
we'll let you
line.
do
And,
I don't know
60
if
feet
it's
of pavement,
accurate.
but we still
Well,
want
that- I
50
guess
foot
that's-
right away,
that's our
just in case
concern.
we're wrong.
It
Right.
shows it
We gotta
here,
go
but
back.
I don't know, is
Right.
this the edge of the blacktop for real? Is it not?
Well, I don't
Is it
know. We'll
over
have to
this
find
way
out.
further?
Yeah, I mean, that's where even with our GIS, this doesn't really match what that is here. So it's not, I mean, Al's right, it's like you gotta identify this here in order to figure out the distance.
That's the limit there, the yellow?
Yeah.
That's his lot.
And it looks like he's shaved it off here. This doesn't look like it takes as much of a bend here as it does. This looks shallower than that
It's
does.
actually, this, where the wall in actually came in more. In this part, it actually hasn't even been built, so like it could be, it was starting and that's when it stopped. I mean, that could be tapered all the way in, if that would be like a compromise that would be able to.
It's not a matter of compromise. You can't be over the line because then it's on somebody else's property. So it has to be back here, that's the thing. Or, I suppose he could negotiate
I was going to say, it's a
with
private road, you
with
can
the
negotiate with the
other,
other two.
with the other owners, if it's jointly held, he could negotiate a new right-of-way line and buy it from the other owners. But just to take it and then to have us bless it, that's.
Oh, no,
that's a
believe me,
different
I mean, he thinks he's in China, to be honest with you, because the way his nephew who translates for us is, in China, it's pretty much how you do it.
Anything
you know what I
goes.
mean?
Anything goes.
And it's different here, and we've had to tell him,
Yeah.
Would that change the subdivision, don't you?
I mean, you could modify it. The issue would be, if the wall, the face of the wall is 4 feet off the edge of pavement. So it isn't like it's right against the edge of pavement, and you have to just modify the subdivision to just change the right-of-way line along that edge.
Does that add to does that create a new lot in a sense?
You'd create a new lot that then could be merged with the existing lot.
But do you need
Reduce
to-
the lot frontage.
Yeah.
That would have to be,
Yeah.
I'd be guessing that because the frontage starts from way down here,
Maybe they're all right.
I think
I
they're
gotta think
fine.
there's a device in the homeowners association that would allow that. He doesn't own that. The homeowners association owns the subdivision.
We're guessing.
Right.
It's
And that if there was one that was written
Probably
and
not.
executed.
Right. But we don't
It's definitely a private way. It says it on
Because
it.
you can, on subdivisions, there's physical improvements that can be done at, with the approval of the subdivision.
But we can't approve.
No. So that's the other thing.
This is.
If he bought it recently, hopefully he got a copy of it.
Yeah.
But the lack of lawyerly research that never ceases to amaze me, so.
The lack of due diligence by the lawyers.
But you know what, Rob would actually be a good, Metro West, the engineer, would probably have the best handle on getting that.
Yeah.
Because then, if they have a board, they could probably vote for just to accept it or deny it, or accept all the improvements in it or something, just keep it out of our hair.
But you'd have to change the lot line.
Or you could make an easement for the use of this wall outside of it. 'Cause if you change the lot line, it could create a new lot.
Yeah,
Because it's not technically a structure.
No, what I'm getting
Yeah.
at, there's an entity that owns that right away, that's not the town.
Yeah, no, I know. But what I'm getting at is that this gets us, if it's an easement, it gets us into a gray area because we're now authorizing, essentially we're blessing a site plan that doesn't stay within the limits of the property that we're supposed to be reviewing. So I'd have to get a ruling from town council whether we could actually stipulate conditions on property that this guy doesn't own, even if it's an easement. I mean, we just need to get that opinion.
Yeah.
But if there's no easement, if he's just flat off his property, we're sunk. What can we do?
Yeah, because it's actually the homeowners association or whoever owns the way that's actually applying for
Yeah.
this, not the homeowner.
You know, I guess that's even like a pretty general question. I mean, I don't think one of us is ranking up questions as town council, but if some homeowner builds a wall in the right of way of a private way, in a typical subdivision, where's that lead?
Yeah. Actually surprised that question hasn't been.
I'm sure it's actually.
We've never encountered it before, where somebody was actually building in the road. I haven't seen that in 17 years. Every time I think I've seen everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's because probably after this, we weren't afraid to shrink the right of way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we say, all right, if you got a 16-foot road, we'll give you a 20-foot right of way, and that's all you need. You know, we pulled those lines away from people.
I mean, just step back from it for a minute. What if this were owned by the town?
It would be totally different.
Why?
Yeah.
It's still
Because you act as the town's.
Yeah, and we would not
Agent.
want, the town would not want to assume the liability of any impediments in the town way.
Yeah.
Just for the record, and I guess it doesn't really matter, but we did call prior to starting this to find out what the setbacks were off a road. And at that point, we had no idea of any, easement. When we started the project, I asked the homeowner again, hardly any English, for a plan, and all I got was a septic plan. But we did make the call because we knew that every town and road could have different stipulations. So, we didn't just start throwing it up.
The difference here is that, like the right questions didn't get asked because when this property was for sale, there was a couple people that inquired about this, and I had this decision and specified, look, anything you happen brings you back in front of the planning board when there's a special permit. So
Anything you wanted, but that didn't make it to the.
no, I mean how many times have we said, well, didn't you find this
I
in
know,
the
I
deed
know.
search?
Well, it's
And they
exactly
go, well,
what
no.
Dave was saying, lack of guidance by the lawyers.
I mean, I don't know what we could do to help communicate it.
But I think we've laid out a plan, right?
Yeah.
You've got to go and get this surveyed
Right.
and
See where we stand.
staked. We're going to go see, and.
And you
then
should
we'll
probably
take
go
it.
with Metro West since they know the property so well.
And it wouldn't hurt to help them to ask them that question.
What about in terms of the softscape that's well outside that range? Will we be able to continue to put the lawn in and some of
Do
the...
not disturb zones.
Well, where? You don't know where anything is.
Right, but I think it's
this
unfair
whole-
to shut down
This
the
whole
entire-
area just has topsoil all up in here, so they want to be able to get
Do they have
grass
a
and all
planning
that stuff
plan?
down. What?
Do they have a planning?
I don't know how to explain this. This client is very into feng shui, and we've moved trees that we've put in, no lie, like 6-inch caliper trees, we've moved no lie 6 times. And it could just be 4 inches. So to say we have a plan, we have a general plan that we're constantly changing.
Well, the rest of the property behind here is not up for discussion with us, is it?
Is the rest of the property even site plan approval?
Is it, yeah, was there even a
So,
planting plan? Was there stuff about it? So
There
why
was
would
no mention of any planting plan, any other than, where did it go? The other plan that was color coded.
Yeah.
That is the only thing that was in the file. I have an email from Susan to the building inspector, Courtney, basically saying the board reviewed site plan and approved it. I have no decision, no minutes that indicate anything more than that Board of Health plan, because this specified sort of color-coded what
Yeah.
was to happen,
Yeah.
that's all I have.
That's all I have.
Did the house go through site plan review? Or just, it was
It
just
looks like the
something-
board administratively reviewed the site, and then there's decisions for other things in the in the development.
Ripping out stuff that was called in, so I don't see why they should be able to continue on. But the area out front,
Yeah, I guess our wish would be, there's a couple pine trees here, and we would like to add some plantings in between those. We'd like to be able to finish off this area here.
see, when you get
but-
into here, you get
No,
testing.
but I will stay well without this line. We won't continue with the wall, obviously. We won't continue with anything along the top of the wall, if you say 10 feet, 15 feet.
And didn't you also
but-
put fill or something in here wasn't this, what did you say?
Graded down.
It's graded
And then you
down.
dumped that back out again.
Huh?
You dumped that back out.
We
You-
did.
you
It's
took all
actually
that back
not.
out.
It's actually, this is all kind of unfinished.
Yeah, it
You
kind
know.
of looks that way right here. Kind of a big mess.
Well, it looks a little neat.
Okay.
And then, the client, we're putting in a step, which Joe said we could out of safety, and we'd like to be able to maybe put the walkway in.
The walkway was called for on the plan, but then no
It
record
never-
of that was
It never
installed.
went in, okay, all right.
Right, it was never there.
I don't have any problem with them putting in a walkway that was called up from the original building plan, and that was never installed. on the
This
house.
area,
But all the areas under.
yeah, this area is, in our eyes, other than wanting to put down some sod to retain the soil that's here, this area is, for the most part, we're good to go. This area is waiting approval, and then obviously this wall.
May have to be.
Why don't you give them, a plan that shows where they can work and where the limit
Yeah,
is?
yeah.
Do we want to, we had two different, I think, lines of thought. One, as far as visiting the site after that right-of-way line is defined, or before, just to observe
No,
the
after.
general condition. Okay.
Because you
Otherwise,
just
we're
got a
just-
lot
yeah,
of, you want to get.
I just wanted
reading
to just,
tea leaves.
sorry?
But they need to mark where the no disturb
Yeah.
areas too
Yeah.
are when they're doing the
All work
survey.
isn't going to cease, you're still going to get to do.
Yeah, which is great. I
It's-
mean,
but it's
the no
it's the
disturb.
front part.
We're pretty confident. We know exactly where the no disturb zones are now, and so obviously we will keep it that way.
There's no disturbing in the right of way.
You probably just want to end up saying like 10 feet off the right-of-way, and that's where.
They don't know where it is.
We don't know.
No,
I would stay back
But that
here.
was, yeah.
Well, again, that area is all but done. So.
So we're saying something like this,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
is verboten,
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
Right.
how do you say nothing in Chinese?
I don't think that's a word that was.
Not in this man's
Used here.
lexicon?
No.
All right. So when do we do a sidewalk? Oh,
I
it's
think we
contingent
just
on
just get
the
there.
Metro West.
Yeah. Just get verification when
You
that's.
do have his contact information.
It's on the plan.
Rob's.
Roger, yeah, I'll email that to you before I leave tonight.
It's right here.
It's right on the plan,
Yeah, that,
He might have moved since then.
He's still on Franklin Street, isn't he?
Yeah, he's on
He's still on
Franklin.
Franklin, Framingham.
Oh, yes, okay. All right.
And he might, you can kind of tell him what's going on, he might have some thoughts of like, where this is going. I may remember.
I remember it.
It was the first time I was ever there, was the other day.
Really?
No clue.
He must have been young and nervous and blocked all that.
Like 28, yeah, I've been an engineer like 9 years at that point.
Wasn't your wife expecting your first baby then?
No, she was born in 2000.
Okay.
This is way before I. But I did Candleberry, and that was in like '93 or something. And right,
That was before me.
yeah,
So you-
93, you predate the Stegosaurus?
yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So predates.
Triceratops.
I was working for the board. Roger was chairman, and it was not, I mean, yeah, he came on somewhat after.
It came out in '97.
Yeah.
Did you work on Carroll Circle?
Which one's that? I always know, like, they always call them something different in
It's the one on
design.
Church Street.
No, it's off the Coburn.
Oh, right.
Is it like a 2-lot?
It's the one that Robinson, it
5
was
lot.
Robinson's land, right? Isn't that the one that
It's off of Coburn, down right behind the transfer station.
Oh,
No.
It's a
well,
5 lot.
no, that's not the
Yeah.
one with the.
That was Robinson's.
I don't remember.
You mean the 7 lot that?
Yeah,
That's
Seven
that's
sounds-
The Lollipop Road.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that. And Meridian was the engineer. They freaked out because the dirt roads. And the people came in. They said they would 2 years afterwards. One of them, like 9 months pregnant, saying, you know, we got to pave these things. Remember that?
Yeah.
But that, I mean, that worked out well. I mean, you don't really see any of those houses.
No.
Where?
You can't from the street. You might be thinking of something else, like a lower field or something like that.
But we
You're
digress, and some
thinking
people
about
want to go home.
the Wellesley Homes thing. I
Yeah.
think. No, this is different.
All right.
This-
Yeah.
It's off of Coburn, and it goes down. It's
Predates
a true
me, I think.
subdivision. It's a true.
Yeah.
Walk down memory lane, it's
Sorry about
wasting your
that.
time.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, take
Good luck.
care.
Have
Good
fun.
luck.
All right.
Um,